Right now on Sports Extra, we really appreciate you staying up late with us because, boy, was that an ugly Falcons game a little bit earlier today. Shutout on the road for the first time in a decade in a game where pretty much everything went wrong. By the way, the Ram and Greg keep on rolling. The Yellow Jackets undefeated as they fully get into their ACC slate. What's the limit for this team? We're talking about it tonight here on Sports Extra. Plus, George with another huge matchup on the horizon. We're getting you ready for the Alabama game this upcoming weekend.
That second quarter was poor football. It was poor football on our part. And we got to be better than that. So, but again, happy with the win, very happy with the win. Happy a lot of guys got to play today, and excited to continue to move forward.
Plus, we're talking about the Dream and the Braves, a jam-packed show as always. Sports Extra starts right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome into Sports Extra. I'm Reggie Chatman. Last week was maybe the highest vibe show I think I've ever done here. Georgia Tech, the Falcons all big winners last week. A difference a week makes because it feels a lot different sitting on this desk. Hometeam Brandon Leak alongside me, as well as Paul Maharry from sports-ott. Guys, that was disappointing what we saw from the Falcons today. And what I think is funny is whenever the Falcons do something bad, you always post the same video of you pouring a drink. If you didn't have to be on TV tonight, how big would that drink have been after watching the performance?
Been twice as big, but I'm a professional, so I do what I have to do to be here to at least halfway infotain the city. It's worked for me, and it keeps just not working at the end of these games, like a lot of things for the Atlanta Falcons. Dog ugly, man. That's what that was, and it's just too bad. You had the city after a great showing on national TV against the Vikings, and then it just goes all out of the window. The goodwill, the belief that you've turned the corner. You have problems on offense. You have problems giving up points late in the game. You have problems kicking. You have problems with muffed punts. You have guys running into each other. You have muffed balls on kickoffs. The entire operation was a disaster in a situation where you had a chance to get your second win of the season and really get some momentum going forward.
A 30-0 loss that looked ugly. And I mean, if you actually watch the game, it actually was uglier than the final score probably looked. You would think the Panthers, if they were a better team, would have put the Falcons way away in this game, Paul. I mean, some of the problems have to do with the offense. They got shut out today. Michael Penix Jr. completed just 50% of his throws. He did struggle. It seems like something's not really clicking for him. What do you think the biggest problem is for Michael Penix Jr.?
Yeah, I think a lot for Michael Penix is just processing everything on the field. I think that we talked about it, guys, preseason. Maybe if they would have got out there and jailed. But hey, let's not toot the horn on the preseason anymore. It's gone. We're not going to get it back. I think it's just his processing, his ability to understand and control his throws. He's got the arm talent. He's hesitant though, and what's causing that hesitancy was a pick that went back for a touchdown today that he decided instead of going downfield, he looked over to Bijan, didn't see the corner there, and that was another touchdown for Carolina. It just was a bad game for him all in all. Not all the blame goes against him, but at the same time, you have to start looking at everything, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line. This is all not looking great for him.
You see in some of this video, he's just missing throws. Guys frustrated, balls not getting to the spot they need to be at.
Well, you know, some of it is timing. Some of it is what's going on when the plays get started. I don't know what this situation is where the play clock continues to run down inside of 5 seconds. Last week you had communication problems with the equipment. This week you have communication problems with the equipment. Do you need Duracell? Do you need Energizer? What's going on? Everything has to be looked at, but it is not a quick-paced offense, and it seems very slow plotting. I don't know if it's him just coming across as his demeanor. It looks like it's too cool for school, but you don't know when the play is coming in, and it is just not an offense that is putting any defense they have seen this year on their heels, and that needs to turn around, or else you're going to be looking up in the standings and be 1-4 if you don't get a win next week at home against a team that you need to beat, or 1-3, a team that you need to beat against Commanders.
You look in that lower third, it says Michael Penix got benched in the fourth quarter. Kirk Cousins came into the game, which is, I mean, it's not a quarterback competition, but you don't love what you saw from Penix if you have to see Kirk in the game.
I don't like that. Also, just to kind of go back to your point, the lost timeouts there in the first half stopped them from scoring as well. It was bad. But yeah, to your point, Kirk Cousins coming out, when I saw him out there, I said, hold on a second. Whoa, what are we doing? Because these are reps that Penix needs, I feel like. These are things that we didn't get in the preseason. He needs to go out there and be able to say, all right, I'll lead this team down there and score a touchdown. Instead, you put Kirk Cousins in. And the only thing you did with Kirk Cousins was show these rest of these NFL teams, hey, don't come calling for him because he's not ready either. And that's a big problem.
Well, you're down 20-0, so you still want to believe you can win the football game. So you would think if Michael Penix Jr. could give you the best opportunity to win, you would leave him in, but you have a capable backup. So I don't think
that's
that
where the
leads.
questions come, though.
Yeah, I don't know if that leads. There was nothing else to see. I mean, he was awful. He threw a pick six. He threw another interception. He was not completing his passes. There was no rhythm with the offense. You have to, at some point, make a call. Do you need to let him go out? Does it make a difference if he went out one more series in the fourth quarter to start, and then you put in Cousins, or is that even later for a chance for you to win the game? So it's just all a disaster, and it is not supposed to be this way now 3 games into the football season.
How are we talking about this after that beautiful Sunday night game?
It feels like we're on a different planet.
It's a total different planet we're on right now.
You are now 2.5 games behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You have the same number of wins as the Carolina Panthers, and you have just one more win than the awful New Orleans Saints. This is not where this team is supposed to be, and it needs to get cleaned up quickly, or else you are going to see your season go down by the riverside before you're even out of the first quarter of the NFL season.
I thought the crazy thing is we're talking a lot about the offense, and we'll talk about everything, but I think the biggest thing that surprised me the most is, you mentioned it earlier, all of the different execution problems they had earlier in this game. I mean, you had guys hitting each other on punts. You had guys dropping the kickoffs. You had those 2 interceptions. We'll talk about the kicking in a second. You missed a couple of field goals as well after having all that love for Parker Roma the week before. Who should be getting the blame for all these execution issues? You mentioned some of the communication stuff as well. It seems like the problems are coming from the top down.
The coach. You can't blame Jimmy Lake anymore. He's out of here. You can't blame Younghoe Koo anymore. He's out of here. You can't blame Kirk Cousins anymore. He's a backup quarterback.
Running out of guys.
Zach Robinson has been here, who was hired by Raheem Morris, and he had never called a play as an offensive coordinator. Now we're in a season and 3 games, and it doesn't look any better. What is the plan? Why are you not getting points in the red zone? How do you not have a wide receiver with a touchdown 3 weeks into the NFL season? This is really bad. You need to clean this stuff up immediately and figure out whether or not a change needs to be made earlier, or at least the communication could be a change will be coming, because this is going to be a bad season if you start off 1-3 when you've had a chance really to win 2 out of these games that you've lost.
3 total touchdowns, I believe, in the first 3 weeks of the season. Shutout in this game. So it means a lot of kicking has been kind of the thing that they've been trying to rely on. We talked a little bit about it. Parker Romo did take over last week for Younghoe Koo, who is no longer inside the building. Missed those 2 first kicks to begin the game. I mean, is it time that we call Younghoe back? I mean, is there anything this franchise can do to get the right kicker on the roster?
I think Younghoe's probably blocked all cell phones coming out of Flowery Branch. He's done with us. We've pushed him under the bus too many times. But Parker Romo, I want Parker no mo. I don't want it. I don't want it. He's done. We need to move on. Rodrigo Blankenship. He's playing with Legos on TikTok. He's a celebrity on there. Let's get him out there. He can kick.
I just don't know how we got to a place where you had a Pro Bowl kicker, and now it feels like we're going to be having tryouts every week.
Every week.
And
every week.
What do? I was thinking they were just holding on to Younghoe Koo to see what Parker Romo was going to look like his second game kicking outdoors and see what was going to happen. Now we know what's happened. They've let Younghoe Koo go, and now you have even more questions. If you go back out.
That's the problem with this franchise.
What?
They let the guy go before we know exactly what's going on.
Well, in fairness, Younghoe Koo was costing you games. You go back to last year, he cost you one. How many games can one man lose you?
You can't go back to him now.
But my point is, now you have questions with your offensive coordinator, with your kicker, and those are things you should not have questions about. There are now questions about special teams because of what happened. You have to look at Raheem Morris. What is the plan? How do you correct it? And how do you get some fire lit under some behinds to let people know this is a very dire and serious situation?
I mean, it sounds serious based on how serious you guys are.
I think it's very serious.
You guys seem upset.
I am.
And for good reason, man. Falcons 1-2 to start the year. Not the best start. All right, for this week's Georgia Spotlight, a play that had our entire newsroom yelling, and Georgia fans everywhere losing their mind. How about this? Rams versus Eagles, game on the line. Rams lining up for the game-winning field goal, but Jordan Davis says, no, sir. Not only does he block the kick, he takes it back the other way, 61 yards to the house. And how about those wheels? According to Next Gen Stats, Davis hit a top speed of 18.59 miles per hour. He's a lot bigger than me, and he's probably a lot faster as well. The former dog Keely Ringo alongside him running down the field. Davis seals the Eagles' win over the Rams. Unbelievable stuff. All right, coming up, Maria Martin joins us from Charlotte to give us her takeaways from an ugly, ugly Falcons loss. That and much more coming up after the commercial break. Welcome back to Sports Extra, everybody. I'm Reggie Chatman. 2 straight road games with 2 different results for the Atlanta Falcons. Maria Martin has been our boots on the ground for both those games and joins us now from Charlotte on a day where the Falcons offense didn't look good. Shut out in this loss against the Carolina Panthers. And naturally, a lot of the conversation is going to be about the quarterback play. Michael Penix Jr. completed only 50% of his throws through 2 interceptions, including that really bad pick 6. We also saw Kirk Cousins. What's your biggest takeaway from the quarterback play in this loss for the Falcons?
Yeah, Reggie, well, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Michael Penix Jr. did not play very well in Carolina. I think he understands that, and everyone in that locker room understands that as well. But it's pretty normal for a young quarterback, even though Michael isn't technically young in age, but young in the NFL, for them to have kind of a mismatch of a game. And that's exactly what happened to Michael. It's a frustrating one. It's one that you want to learn from sure. But absolutely nothing was going right from him. From the very beginning, even in warm-ups, he was having issues with the communication in his helmet. So for those of you that don't know, quarterbacks have microphones in their headset so that they can get the play calls in from their offensive coordinator, that's Zach Robinson, upstairs in the box. It wasn't working for Mike from the very beginning, so you saw some of those miscues early on. It's not an excuse, but nothing was going right even when they just started the game, and he was missing really easy throws, especially ones on 4th down that most quarterbacks should be making. It was pretty uncharacteristic of Mike, and when you're forced in these 3rd and long scenarios, it's hard to get something going. Your running game isn't working like you normally want it to. It's forcing you into these uncharacteristic situations, and it wasn't just Mike. It was all over the offense. There were drops by some of the receivers, and you did say it, Reggie, that pick 6, it was pretty bad. It was his first interception this year. He threw a couple last year, 3 to be exact, but the pick 6 he's definitely going to want back. He'll look back at that film tomorrow and think, I probably shouldn't have thrown that football. There's a couple of those that I think were very obvious for Mike, but I'm not necessarily concerned. Yes, we did see Kirk Cousins in the 4th quarter, and in fact, I was telling people around me, I think it's time to bring in Kirk, not because you should make this all about a new quarterback battle, but because things were simply out of hand. And when you have a quarterback like that who's simply trying to learn and get better, the worst thing that you can do for him and his confidence is to continue to play him when things are getting out of hand. So I think it was the right call by the coaching staff to put Kirk Cousins in, and when Raheem Morris was asked about it, Reggie, after the game, he simply said no, he is not going to let Kirk Cousins compete for the job. It was just a scenario where he needed to be in at that time.
Now, you talked a little bit about that coaching staff. Zach Robinson, I mean, look, I want your opinion on this because when you go on social media, a lot of people are talking about how you've got Michael Penix Jr. You should be throwing the ball deep. There's a lot of check down plays. It felt like the offense wasn't really moving. I'd love your opinion on how much you think that the play calling was the issue today in this loss against the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm a tough one when it comes to play calling. I don't like to give it all to the coaches right away. And listen, Twitter, Reggie, is a very tough place to be right now. If you're a Falcons fan, they're frustrated because this offense was supposed to be a home run offense. You have your quarterback of the future. You've played 3 games, and nothing is working for you offensively. So the frustrations are certainly there. You only score 3 touchdowns through 3 games, and you saw a lights-out game by the defense in Minnesota, and then you flip the script, and everything looks discombobulated. So I think the pressure is certainly on Zach Robinson as a play caller, especially because as things snowball, nothing really got better, and it didn't seem like plays were there, especially later in the ball game, and even when the Falcons did have opportunities, because remember, when things were going awry because of the opportunity not to get the play call in early, so talking about the headset issue, the Falcons really did have opportunities to make this a ball game. It was a 1-score game. Things were not out of hand, and all of a sudden you're looking at miscues left and right, and Carolina jumped on it. And I don't want to take away from Bryce Young's game. He had a phenomenal afternoon. Not turning the ball over was huge for Bryce as well, but he was making the big-time throws that Mike wasn't. And for Zach Robinson as a play caller, I think his seat gets a little bit hotter this week. Again, only 3 games, but this sample size certainly makes you a little bit concerned when you thought this offense was going to be a little further along than they are right now.
Falcons only gave up 30 points in this game. I say only, but they gave up 30 points this game, but less of it had to do really with what the defense had going on. The Falcons actually outgained the Panthers in this game, but the Panthers, of course, the big-time win. I'm curious as to what you think the bigger story is with the defense. Do you think they were the problem in this game, or do you think the game doesn't tell the full story?
Yeah, I don't think you can point fingers at any single part of this game. I think all three phases were really discombobulated, because I'm talking a lot about the offense because that was the really big story in this one, but special teams, there were miscues there, and even when special teams is giving you opportunities, the offense couldn't capitalize on that. Remember that muff punt that they got and DeMarco Hellams jumped on it, then the offense can't even get close to a touchdown range. So I think that it's not just the defense's fault, it's not just special teams, it's not the offense. All across the board, these guys did not look like the team that we saw in Minnesota, and especially defensively. You look at all of the rookies that had career firsts for them, that was not any case in Carolina. So I think they really do need to go back to the drawing board. The defense really giving up only one touchdown. I know more touchdowns happen, but when you go back and look at the film, they're only going to be looking at that one that seemed like a very egregious error. And some of those rookies really did look young, honestly, to me on defense today. So I think across the board, this was a rough one for the Falcons. The best thing they can do is scrap it and move forward, because a 30-0 loss, it doesn't feel good to lose this way, but these guys are certainly frustrated. They said a lot of that in the locker room.
Back to the drawing board, and there's going to be a lot to look at on that drawing board. There's 2 missed field goals. The kickoff returns look shaky. The punts were a little weird as well. A lot to go back and try and get fixed for this team that is 1-2 to start the year. Maria, thank you so much. Have a safe travel back here to Atlanta.
Appreciate you, Reggie.
All right, let's talk some college ball. Georgia Tech improved to 4-0 for the first time in 11 years on Saturday after a 45-24 win over Temple at home, a win that has them ranked above Alabama in the AP poll. But post-game, the team trying to remember the positives in the games that they actually won, but they felt like they could have and should have played better.
You know, wins are really good as well. So we can't just be sitting here miserable and oh, we should have had this and that. Let that linger on. Like, hey, we can learn from it, but we still got to move on and accept wins.
Different day and age when this Tech team is trying to find ways to be happy about a win, right? Their first win as a ranked team since 2015. Home team and Paul still alongside me. A win is a win. As ugly as it may have been, the guys upset, but they have a chance to do something really, really special this year. You look at the rest of their schedule, no more ranked teams on it. Even Syracuse, who got that big win over Clemson, their quarterback's out for the rest of the season. Home team, can they run the table until they get to Georgia, and what would that mean to that program?
They certainly have the capability. I do think you have to watch out for Fran Brown and Syracuse, no matter what they're ranked or not ranked. That being said, I thought Saturday was a perfect game. You were in control. You got off to a fast start. You had a sluggish, anemic second quarter, and then you pulled away late. So you still have something to look forward to on the film to clean up after you put up nearly 50. And you always want a coach that says, look, there's something you're still not great at. You need to always have that in the back of your mind.
Paul, I mean, it's disappointing for them to be disappointed, right? But real quick, just the fact that this Tech team is winning the way they are, what do you think they need to do to continue to get to the point they need to get to?
I think they just need to continue to be them. Brent Key has installed a terrific type of formula with this team to where they are ready for whatever comes their way. They lost a great wide receiver to Auburn in the portal. Then they just kept moving forward. I like this team. I think they're a gritty bunch. And until you get to Georgia at the end, you've got a pretty smooth sailing. Just keep it level-headed, and I think Brent Key is the guy for that. He is perfect at keeping those guys just smooth sailing.
Haynes King has to be healthy. Yeah. He has to stay healthy for them to make a big run.
That is a huge point.
Let's touch on this really quickly, right? The Georgia Bulldogs have a massive matchup against Alabama this upcoming weekend. It's huge. At home, a chance to try and defeat the boogeyman in that program. What is it going to take to get it done, home team?
Well, you win a game like you did on the road in one of the most difficult places to play with the noise. You certainly have now proven to yourselves you can do it. Using your quarterback, not giving up the explosive plays, and finding a way not to play from behind. Those are the things you need to slay the dragon and beat the boogeyman in Athens.
Yeah, 4.5-point spread for Georgia. I think I'll take Georgia right now. You go back and look at the games that Alabama's played this year. I don't think that the schedule is as good as Georgia's. The Georgia has the best win, obviously, at Tennessee. And Gunnar Stockton, he's starting to impress. He didn't have me at first, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't on the bandwagon. After that Tennessee game, I was like, man, this guy's good.
All right, before we go to break, I have one word answer. Do they wear the black jerseys on Saturday?
No. Your Georgia Bulldogs, you beat people in your Georgia Bulldog jerseys.
That was more than one word.
That was more than one word.
Oh.
Red and black.
Our producer's going to be upset if we don't go to break. Coming up, the Dream's magical season turned into a nightmare with a first-round exit. What's the future looking like for this Dream team? All that and more after the break.
We're here to bring a championship to the Dream, and it's going to be delayed. It's not going to be denied, but right now it hurts a little bit because I had so much belief in this team.
Yeah, after a magical year where the Dream finished with 30 regular season wins for the first time in franchise history, a top 3 seeded playoff, they lost to the Caitlin Clarkless Fever in the first round earlier this week. A disappointing end to what really was an incredible year for this team. Sports Extra rolls on. A great year for the Dream. And home team, it stinks that it ended this way, but it feels like there's a lot of positive momentum surrounding this team.
Well, he unlocked the potential of this team. This team could not score. They could score a ton of points. They could make their three-pointers, and they were exciting to watch. And I think those are the building blocks of a team that will be exciting and a team that can duplicate those things to probably be back in that position next year.
All right, we're going to talk about the Braves before we go. Only 6 games left to close out the year. Could these be the last 6 games of manager Brian Snitker? It feels like a lot of conversation has been around him recently.
Yeah, I think it probably is. And to be fair to Brian Snitker, he did a lot for the Braves organization. Very thankful for what he did. He brought us a title in 2021. But at the same time, I think it's gotten a little bit stale. I love him. It's time to go. The only holdup for me would be he's at 49 years with the Braves organization. One more 50 years would be truly special. That would be the only holdup for me.
For me, winning the World Series, being in the organization as long as he has, is that enough to say, you know what, I can call it a career? There's going to be a lot of change with this team and this roster. He's going to get a new DH. He's going to need some new pitching. He's going to need a new shortstop. There are a lot, maybe a new outfielder. There are a lot of things that are unknowns and a lot of guys who are injured who may not be themselves coming back. Question is, does he feel like there's something still left in the basement, something left in the tank that he did not get to see with the potential of this team with the bad hitting over the summer? Or is it enough to say, you know what, it's been one heck of a career and they're going to keep him somewhere within the organization so he'll still be a Brave for life?
But do you think it'll be a bad situation if they leave, if he decides to leave and keeps him kind of high and dry, Paul?
No, I don't think so. I think he could pass the torch very well, just like Bobby Cox did to Brian Snitker. If they want to keep it in-house, Walt Weiss is right there. Or if you could go and look at, Mark DeRosa, David Ross. Those are also guys that have been in the Braves organization. I don't think they're going to go crazy with the hire. And yes, I feel like you could just keep it smooth sailing, pass it to the next guy, and Brian Snitker can step away. We can all thank him for that.
6 home games left. At least we can go watch them in the sunshine.
You can listen on 680 The Fan. You're home for the Braves.
Talk about it. All right, we've got one more block after the commercial break. You got to see this play, a record-setting day for Matt Stafford. All right, final block before we go. Big shout out to Georgia Bulldog great Matthew Stafford, who on this touchdown pass to Kyron Williams moved to number 9 in NFL history in passing touchdowns, passing none other than Falcons great Matt Ryan.
You know what? He earned it. He had a situation where there was a lot of lean years in Detroit. Got the Super Bowl, and he keeps plugging along, even with an epidural in his back to be upright to throw that touchdown. Good for him.
Next up for Matt Stafford, Ben Roethlisberger is the next one for him to pass. And shout out to Aaron Rodgers. He passed Brett Favre today for 4th all-time. A lot of movement in the passing touchdown leaders in the NFL today.
Big day for touchdowns, man. Guys, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. Thank you guys so much for watching. For everybody behind the scenes that helped put this show together, thank you guys again for being here. We'll see you guys next week on Sports Action. Another great week of football coming up. We'll have you covered here on 11 Alive.